What's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new story. Today we have a story of a girl who went to the bathroom in class. And this is all because her teacher said no to her whenever she wanted to go to the bathroom, man. I don't know if you guys have had a teacher like this before, but when you ask to go to the bathroom, they say no. Well, this is a story of that going really, really wrong. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story Nathan. So anyways, Nathan was in a lab class. This was one of the lab science classes that he took. It was a very special class in his high school where it's like all the AP type students, like the ones who want to have like really hard accelerated classes and have some really good stuff on their college resumes, right? So Nathan, was taking this class, and one thing about this class was it wasn't only just super difficult, which it was very difficult, but it also was 2 hours long. The class periods for him were normally like 45 minutes or around that, or maybe closer to an hour. So this was at a minimum a two class period length class. So it was already really long in the first place. So this all started one day. Actually, let me give you a little bit more background. Their teacher was this old grumpy guy. This guy who's been teaching for a very long time, and he's done things a certain way, and things will not be done a different way, man. Basically, right, they had a professor that was very much stuck in his old ways, and if you didn't do what he said, then you were wrong, bro. He's been doing this forever. So this story all started one day. And this all started one day that seemed like it was going to be a normal day, and it was during one of the labs. And there was a girl in Nathan's class. We're just going to call her the girl, right? Or this girl, because she doesn't really need a name, because I forget names all the time when I use them. But anyways, right, they were kind of sitting in class. It was about like 45 minutes in, and this girl raises her hand and asks very politely, "May I go use the bathroom," right? And for some reason, and no one really knows why this guy, the teacher, was having such a bad day, but apparently he was just having a bad day. Because this teacher legitimately says no, like you may not, like you should have done that before class, you're not going to interrupt like your learning experience or whatever, like you should have done that before, I told you I prefer everyone does it before, yada yada, kind of like stuff along those lines. And she responds like, "I didn't have to go before, but I got to go now." The teacher says, "No, you can go after class." And remember, it's only 45 minutes into the class period, so she still has at least an hour and 15 minutes left. And the thing is, right, there are so many times where, like, I don't know that I need to go to the bathroom, like, before, like, if a 45-minute span is a reasonable amount of time for you to not know you had to go to the bathroom and then realize you really had to go to the bathroom. So everything gets a lot worse when this girl, raises her hand again. And the teacher looks over. This is 20 minutes later, by the way. So 20 minutes of time passes, and the girl raises her hand again. And, the teacher looks over, and this girl, and he's like, "Yes." And the girl's like, "I really gotta go. I know you're not happy with it, but I really gotta go to the bathroom." She's basically saying this, like, on the verge of tears. And, like, Nathan didn't even really realize this until he looked over and was like, "Oh my God, like, this girl's, like, actually, like, not having a good time at all." And once again, the teacher's like, "No, like, I stand by what I said before. You can wait 45 minutes or however much longer was in the class." The girl's like, "I don't think so." And this girl was like low-key saying this, but she was basically crying at this point. She was tearing up. Like, it was, the kids in the class were looking over all concerned, bro, because they were like, "Wow, like, something's going on over here." And obviously this teacher's doing a pretty bad thing, but he gets his karma. Don't worry, guys. Stick around till the end of the story, because this is a good karma story. Don't worry about it. I got you with that. Anyways, though, this girl, the professor shuts her down again. And this girl, at this point, is just sitting there. And she's looking so uncomfortable. And Nathan just feels so absolutely terrible about this whole thing, right? He just feels awful about what's happening. And he watches as this girl is looking around almost frantically. Right? She's looking around like, just, she's like, "Oh my God." And she like gets up and she like kind of like does the pee-pee walk over, when you got to go to the bathroom, so you got to cross your legs. Pee-pee walks over to the lab desk. And what is on the lab desk? A bunch of test tubes and beakers. It was like a chemistry type lab. And this was one where they either did experiments or, other classes, higher up classes did experiments. I don't know. Either way, they had beakers / test tubes, etc. Right? She grabs one of the test tubes. I think you guys can see where this is going, right? And she kind of pee-pee walks back to her seat. And this is where Nathan was like low-key not trying to watch to see what was going on, but also high-key was trying to watch to see what was going on because he knew that something was about to go down, right? He knew that something was up. And yeah, sure enough, this girl apparently had to go. And sometimes when you have to go, you have to go. So I don't want to go into the details of this because like I don't know how it worked. It just did. She somehow got it so that if she was to pee, it would have gone basically all of it. I don't think it was a perfectly perfect process, right? Was going to go in the test tube. So yeah, this girl basically finds a way to get the test tube up there and basically pees into it. And I'm sure it wasn't a perfect process, but all I know is that basically this girl was peeing in class into a test tube. She was towards the back of the class and it was a pretty big lab, so like no one really noticed. I mean, maybe a few other people noticed. I don't think anyone was saying anything because no one wanted to call her out because they all felt really bad for her. And, but Nathan, like most people are just like bored, spacing out on their phones, looking at the front of the class. No one really saw this going down besides Nathan. And obviously Nathan's not going to be staring at her, not going to be paying extra crazy attention. That's why some of these details are a little fuzzy too. Nathan just doesn't even know. But he's like, oh my God, like that's like, this is really crazy. So sure enough, she's done, kind of a look of relief on her face. Also a huge look of embarrassment and probably terror just in case someone was watching this whole thing. And I genuinely feel awful, bro, because like, dude, if you're a teacher and you're really so like, oh, they should have gone before class, bro, does it really matter? Here's the thing. If a kid decides to go into the bathroom and waste all their time in there and like genuinely just goes on their phone or something, doesn't have to go to the bathroom, dude, isn't that going to be on them in the first place? Like, are you not telling me that like it's not going to be reflected in their grades and all their scores or whatever already? Just let them go to the bathroom, because worst case scenario, they goof off and they don't have to go to the bathroom. Well, they're just going to lose. And most case scenarios, they actually have to go to the bathroom and you're just letting them go to the bathroom. Like, I feel like at a certain point, you're kind of, yeah, if some kid is going every like 5 minutes, that's a little suspicious, and maybe have a talk with him because he probably isn't going or has an actual medical condition or something like that. But bro, you just can't be taking that away from people. But anyways, right, this girl, and now here's the problem though. This girl is holding on to a test tube full of pee. Where do you put it at this point? Because I think at that point, she was just so desperate to relieve herself that she didn't even think about, like, she just wanted to figure out a way to do it. I will say peeing into a test tube might be one of the most creative ways I've ever heard. However, things are about to go really, really bad. So anyways, right, she has the test tube and she's just holding it. And the thing is, what are you supposed to do? You got a test tube full of pee, bro. You can't walk up and put it back because you've already probably drawn some attention to yourself by just like everything that's going on already, and surprisingly she hasn't, so she's trying to play it safe. Second of all, you can't just put it on the desk because it's a test tube. It's going to fall over and the stuff's going to spill everywhere. And even if you did put it back on like the shelf where you got it from, it's going to be so obvious because it's going to be clear test tube, clear test tube, clear test tube, pee-filled test tube, clear test, wait a minute, and then everyone's going to pay attention to the pee-filled test tube, right? There's not a good option, so she just holds on to it, right? But the thing is, the test tube was low-key kind of slippery. I'm not going to go into why, but I guess you guys can. It wasn't a perfect shot in, is all I'm trying to say. It didn't all get in there perfectly. So, yeah. Sure enough, Nathan watches as the test tube's kind of sliding out of her fingers, and she quickly, like, pushes it back up, holds on to it, starts to slide out again, holds on tighter. Nathan is just infatuated by what's going on. He just can't break eye contact. And then the worst possible thing ever happened. The test tube that was already slipping out of her hands completely slips out of her hands. But it doesn't just fall next to her. It basically, like, it hits the ground and it doesn't break immediately. It doesn't do anything like that. It bounces. The most unlucky thing possible. The test tube bounces in a direction that it goes into the, like, because like there's a bunch of desks, but there was kind of like a middle section where you could walk down like the aisle. There's almost like two sides to the room where like the teacher could walk down in front or whatever. The test tube bounces, so it went basically into like the middle of the classroom. Then it shattered, and then the yellow liquid went everywhere. It was the worst case scenario possible. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment P down below. I don't know, man. Maybe, wait, Actually, don't do that. I think YouTube might like block your comment automatically or something. I don't know. You can try it, but comment. What should you even comment? Comment lab down below, just because of like test tube, lab, whatever. So LAB, secret word of the day. I'll try and hard as many comments to say that. Subscribe if you're new. Leave a like on the video if you want to get your comment replied to. One of the best ways is to have notifications on and comment in the first 5 minutes. Best way to support the channel is to watch my older videos. Very easy way to do this. Pin a comment. Anyways, yeah, let's get back to it. Enough plugging my stuff. Because I know this story is interesting. So right now, just a little recap. She has the vial full of pee. It slips out of her hand. It bounces. It ricochets out. And boom, it hits the ground, shatters, pee goes everywhere, glass goes everywhere. The class goes silent because it was really loud, and it was also like in between the teacher talking. So it was like, it just happened to hit during a dead silent space. Like unlucky thing after unlucky thing after unlucky thing. And the teacher looks up, is like, what? Like, what is this? And he looks at it, and he walks over to it, and the poor girl is just like, at this point, she's on the verge of tears again. She doesn't say anything. The thing is, too, like, people low-key knew where it came from because the bounce was very clear. And he takes a whiff of it. He's like, oh, is that urine? And at this point, bro, the girl legit gets up and runs out of the class crying. Bro, Nathan feels so bad for her right now. And everyone else in the class is now starting to put 2 and 2 together because this was the girl who was on the verge of tears earlier, that she couldn't go to the bathroom because the professor's like, not in my class. Back in my day, we didn't pee for weeks at a time because we were good, disciplined boys or whatever. I don't freaking know, dude. Yeah, but anyways, people are starting to figure out that it was her. And yeah, everyone felt really bad. And the teacher was like kind of too stunned to speak for a second because he was starting to figure out what was going on. And he started to realize, wait a minute, that was the girl who seemed pretty desperate to go to the bathroom that I told no. And then she ran away when I kind of made comments about this pee vial on the ground. Wait a minute. Yeah, so the guy was starting to put 2 and 2 together. The whole class was like, oh my God. They're all talking about it. And then the professor just continues on class like nothing happened. This guy's best move was to be like, I don't know, bro. I don't know what you're talking about. If I can't see you, you can't see me, dude. It's like those little kids when they play hide and seek, and they literally just cover their eyes and be like, bro, if I can't see you, you can't see me. That's basically the same logic he's implying. He's like, if I don't pay attention to it, it doesn't exist. So he just keeps on going, teaching class, while there's just a big puddle of pee and broken glass in the front of the room. It's completely ridiculous. Nathan is like, bro, what is this guy on? What is this guy doing? But here's the thing. This girl didn't just like run into the bathroom to go cry alone or something, which would have been very sad. And she probably did want to do that. But this girl was also pretty upset. She wasn't just embarrassed. She wasn't just like sad. She wasn't just all of those emotions. She was also upset because she knew that she had been wronged. And this all happened because the teacher like basically neglected her like actual rights as a student or whatever. I don't know what the rights of a student are, but I feel like allowing someone to relieve themselves, I feel like that's almost a right of a student. I don't know. Like, I know there's no constitution of rights of students or something, but I feel like that definitely is something that should be across the board better for teachers to do. So yeah, the girl actually goes to the front office, sits down with someone, and explains everything that happened. And the front office probably realized that this was like a pretty big situation. This is a pretty big deal, and that it could definitely turn into something if they didn't deal with it. So the front office was very sympathetic, and they decided to take action immediately. And when I mean immediately, I mean immediately. And this is where things get really, really interesting. And the only reason Nathan knows that she went to the front office is because of this. So anyways, Nathan is in class. There's about 20 minutes left of class. 15 minutes ago was P-gate. We're going to call the whole situation P-gate, right? She dropped a vial of pee. It hit the ground. Boom. 15 minutes ago. The professor, after not speaking for a minute as she ran out and, like, I don't know, all that kind of stuff, has just been teaching chemistry class for the last 15 minutes as if nothing happened. He's playing the whole, if I don't acknowledge it, it never happened type game, which is a little bit of a goofy game to play, but anyways, right? So sure enough, with 20 minutes left of class, the door opens up. And yes, it is the girl, but it's not just the girl. It is also two teachers. And the two teachers come in. And one of them, like the girl points at the vial on the ground. One teacher comes over and takes a photo of it. And the other one goes up to like the professor in the class and says, hey, can we talk to you for a second outside? And the professor's like, okay. And he steps outside and all four of them are out there. At this point, right, Nathan's just like, oh, wow. And one of the kids is like, yo, I gotta know what's going on. So one of the kids legitimately gets out of his chair and like runs up to the door and presses his ear against the door to hear what's happening. So this is why Nathan knows exactly what is said, because one of his friends in the class gets up and listens to everything and tells him afterwards. So basically what is being said is like the teachers are like to this other guy, or like the administrators are like this girl told you twice she had to go to the bathroom. The second time, like, was it not clear that she really needed to go? And he's like, well, I tell them that they need to go before my class. And like, they're just like, I don't know. At this point, like the other like administrators are like, one of them was like a woman. They're like, oh, you don't know what it's like for us. You guys can hold it in forever, but we can't. Like, it just works differently for us. And then the other teacher says, well, you should really let your kids go to the bathroom. And because of what you did, like, you embarrassed her. Like, she had to go. Like, she physically had to go. And the professor's like, well, I didn't make her drop the vial in front of everyone. And, like, one of the other administrators like, well, the whole reason that she dropped the vial in front of everyone was because of you. Like, that would have never happened if you just let her go at least the second time. Like, we can at least, dismiss the first time, but the second time, like, was she not kind of tearing up? Was she not acting very frantic? And the professor's like, well, that's how all students are dramatic these days, or whatever. Something like that. And they're like, well, anyways, that's the end of the conversation that they heard. Basically, what ended up happening was this teacher was put on actual administrative leave. Yeah, not even
Click on the
kidding.
video on screen right now. I know you'll enjoy it. Just click it, do it.